tell us about Sam's injury and how long he'll be out?
I think the exact amount's not known. I think it'll probably be at least 4 weeks. Sounds like, it's a pretty, at least 4 weeks, I think, based off what the doctors have said.
You're gonna go on IR?
I believe so, yes.
What did you see in Matt Barkley that made him someone that you wanted to sign?
Matt's someone that Dan had been with him in Buffalo. We had always kind of thought could be a good guy on the roster. He obviously was somewhere else, never kind of worked out to have him here. But smart guy, tremendous worker, accurate, can learn the offense quickly in that role. And but someone even in the summer we had looked at. So when the opportunity came to have someone that would go on the active roster, he seemed like a natural fit to get in here and back up PJ.
Given that Sam Darnold will be out 4 weeks, how likely would you all be in looking for another quarterback possibly in free agency?
Yeah, we would obviously explore any and all options. We're looking at everything. We expect PJ to play well. Obviously, Matt, we know, is a veteran player that can come in here and learn it quickly and can help us. But there's nothing we wouldn't do, nothing we wouldn't look at.
When you talked to Sam, was he thinking he might be able to play through it, or was it a no-brainer, like, you can't play through something like this?
You changed it just like this week?
When you met with Sam after the MRI or whatever?
I think he knows that it's in his best interest to take care of this right now. And so, I think we all see Sam's a really tough guy. He's willing to play through anything. But, this is, it's an incomplete fracture, so, I think we caught it where it's not going to, we can just manage it in 4 weeks and hope for 4 to 6 weeks maybe you can get him back. So, obviously he'd love to play, but, player's health comes first.
Was it something that was re-aggravated during the game, or do you know?
Yeah, I couldn't say that specifically just because I'm, not a doctor. I think obviously he had the injury the week before. This was in a different spot, different pain that he had. They MRI'd it the first week. Just had a little different pain coming in on Monday, so they went in and MRI'd it. So, when it happened, I don't think Sam's he took a kind of a big hit in the game. So we think it might have been that. I got elbowed in the back. But, this was not something he was complaining of last week. So when it happened, I don't know. I assume it was this game, but, that's really not my place.
You still don't believe, as you said Monday and Sunday, I believe that the shoulder or the hit that did not impact his performance?
I think what I said on Monday was, when I look at the tape, I don't see him wincing or struggling to throw. I think at the end of the day, it was just some decisions, all that being said, when he plays through, when you see like, hey, whether it happened in the second quarter or not, when you look at the second half, he was obviously playing through something, you know what I mean? So, he came in on Monday with that much pain, whether it happened the week before, whether it happened that week, he's playing through something, and so playing through a lot. So I have a lot of respect for Sam. At the end of the day, Sam's such a good guy. Like he's like, hey, he wants to talk about the decision making, the quarterback play, the throw. Like he's just trying to get better and better and better. So with all players, I think everything's a factor, right? And so when they're going through something, you certainly have to acknowledge it. But as I said to you guys, when I looked at him in the game, I didn't see a bunch of poorly thrown balls. I just saw some decisions we'd love to have back.
You said potentially it could have happened in the Atlanta game. He took a big hit at the goal line or at the 8-yard line.
Yeah, what I said was I'm in no position to say it. When I asked Sam's not said anything to me. So we saw the hit in the last game. This is something he wasn't complaining of till Monday. So I'm not going to comment for somebody else. So I've asked him, because I'm always looking at what happened, and he came in Monday sore, and sore in different areas. So we, obviously we MRI'd him after the first game. This wasn't that, we didn't see anything. We saw something else that we were dealing with that he was managing. Came in on Monday with a different pain in a different area, MRI'd it. But again, I'm not going to comment for Sam in terms of when things happen,
And I just wanted to be clear, P.J. Walker would be the starter Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. Also, with Brian Burns, he went down twice. The one with Mac and then at the end of the game, were those the same injuries?
Yes, same ankle.
What would PJ have to show you to hold on to the starting job for the next 8 weeks?
Just has to go play well this week. I don't do too much thinking ahead of that. I'm just trying to get PJ ready to go play this week. Just like last week, we're trying to get him ready to play last week if we needed him. This week, we're facing a great Arizona defense, trying to get him ready for this week, and that's really it. Nothing really beyond that.
How's Brian looking for going against Cardinals?
Yeah, Brian didn't practice today, so it'll probably be a kind of an all up until Sunday type of a deal. See where he's at on Sunday. Knowing Brian Burns, I don't put anything past him. I mean, his ability to recover is pretty special. He's kind of like Wolverine. He kind of regenerates. I mean, he's just a unbelievable athlete in person. So he puts a lot of time into recovery. So I wouldn't put anything past him, but it's gonna take a long time to see.
When you're scheming against the Cardinals, two very different quarterbacks with Colt and Kyler, how does that make that difficult?
I thought Colt went in and played awesome against the 49ers. I mean, it's really the same offense. I think you haven't gone against Cliff in college and now in the pros. I mean, he's just such a creative offensive mind, and they have such tremendous, weapons. A.J. Green's outside. Hopkins is outside. There's probably nobody better. Rondale Moore's come in and made a huge impact. Kirk's made a huge impact. Now you've added in Zach Ertz. James Conner is a power back. Unfortunately, Edmonds is hurt. Eno Benjamin, who I recruited, 100 years ago, is out there playing for them now. So they have so many weapons that really the offense is predicated on getting those guys the ball. And so obviously Kyler adds a dynamic element of running the football, both from drop back, from zone read, from scrambles. But really, when you look at their offense, it's a big play offense, throwing the ball down the field and those guys going up and getting it, and truly like a Big 12 offense, spreading you out sideline to sideline and then running the ball inside. So, whichever quarterback's in there, I think they'll do both of those. You just have to, when Kyler's out there, obviously account for a little bit more of the quarterback running. He's the fastest player I've ever seen on the field, both in college and then last year he had a long scramble. So he's a special player.
Matt, you said you would explore any and all options at quarterback. Have you all reached out to Cam Newton, or would you?
I won't get into any hypotheticals. I'll probably just talk about the guys on the roster. But we, our job is to try to win. So we're going to, talk to, evaluate and talk to whatever we think is possibly out there. But in terms of specific comments, I'd just talk about our team.
Is there much out there at this point?
It's kind of Scott's job to figure out what is out there. And, we've trained PJ for a long time. He has to go play well. We're playing well on defense. We're the second-ranked defense in the NFL. We have to protect the football. So we're kind of concentrating on the guys we have here, and then Scott will do a great job, and I'll support in any way in terms of looking at, other options. But really this week is kind of my focus, and PJ, and then Matt obviously coming in, learning it on quickly.
Coach, can you just address Arizona's defense? They're fourth in the league right now, and even without Watt, have an awful lot of talent.
Yeah, I mean, JJ was playing awesome. But they have tremendous players. I mean, Chandler Jones is playing at an elite level. Buda Baker, to me, is a difference maker. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Maybe not coach against, but watch. I mean, he's all over the field. They're an aggressive. I think Coach Joseph does a great job. They're an aggressive defense that loads the box and forces you to throw it. I mean, they're a play away from being undefeated. And so schematically, they present challenges, but they also have really good players and they're fast. So. We know we have quite a task ahead.
Coach, this team has experienced streaks in both directions, both with bunches of wins, but the same with losses. Where do you look now to build consistency?
Yeah, we've been trying to build consistency since we got here. As I said to the team, it's a journey towards that. Like, everybody can say they want to be consistent. It's a journey, and so I'm not going to apologize that we haven't gotten to the destination early. It takes time. But that being said, I want to get to the destination now. So we're trying to build that. We're trying to assert that. And I think a concept for everyone to understand is that, for our guys to understand that it takes everybody. You can be second in the league in defense, but, the defense needs the offense needs the defense, the special teams need the – so we all have to play collaborative football. And so it's something that we're working at. It's something that we're trying to get to. It's something that I truly believe once we get it done, once we are a consistent team, it'll stay there for a long time because we're trying to do it the right way. But, really at the end of the day, this game comes down to just this game, and this is a really tough matchup. This is a really good team. That being said, we have a good team, and we have guys who play well. And so what we need is our best players to play their best football. We need our guys who fill roles to do their roles at a high level. And we can't have turnovers and penalties and all the things that have kind of plagued us. And so that's the message. It's not some hey, change this, change that. It's just do what we're doing better. And I think some of the guys get it. It's just it's one of those things that you have to fight every day as a coach. You have to fight and fight and fight to get done. And then once it happens, it's built to last. And But we're not there yet. So that's what we're working towards, and I'd like to see it happen sooner rather than later.
I know it's next man up, I get that, but how tough is it to roll in offensive linemen seemingly by the hour at this point?
Yes, I mean, it's not ideal, but it is what it is, and when a guy goes out there and plays well, you learn something more about your team. Having a chance to put Michael Jordan out there and he played well. I think Sam Tecklenburg went in the game. When you watch the tape, there wasn't one play where I was like, oh, Sam struggled here. Sam Tecklenburg played like an NFL center. Dennis Daly has all the ability to do it. Dennis and I sat down yesterday and watched like 4 games of his together, and I learned a lot about Dennis. He's got a lot of really good plays, and so there's just 2, 3, 4 plays a game that he has to amplify his play on. So we're in the process of building some depth at that position because a lot of guys have had to play. That usually doesn't lead to tremendous chemistry and cohesion, especially versus defenses like we're about to play that have different looks, that will play a 4-4, that will play a 4-3, that will go to a nickel. But you know what? These guys are here for a reason. They're NFL players. They have to step up and play.
And in talking about that with Dennis, I mean, you did a similar thing a couple of weeks ago with Sam, going back to the New Orleans game. How often do you do that with individual guys and really sit down one-on-one with somebody?
A lot, but probably not enough. I think that's truly what coaching is. It's one-on-one helping players get better, position coach, coordinator, or head coach. It's one-on-one as a coach listening to players because sometimes they have perspectives that you don't hear, and it can be eye-opening. So I'd say I do it a lot, but I probably could do it better.
And I know you referenced Scott, but you also have a say in the 53. What were the discussions like coming into this season as you all evaluated your backup quarterbacks and the decision to go with, at the time, Will and PJ versus maybe getting a veteran guy?
Yeah, no, I have a lot of say in those things. PJ's here because I believe in him. PJ's here because Joe believes in him. PJ's here because Scott believes in him. I think all of us believe in PJ. You can sometimes in the NFL you can get a veteran quarterback that can manage the game for you, and can he go win a game for you? Some can. Some. I mean, every guy's different, But I think we saw a guy in PJ that has a lot of ability that can move you with his feet or with his arm. So it's hard sometimes as a backup quarterback. You go in there and you have to play. But in terms of what all the discussions were, I wouldn't do it justice going back and looking at it. I just know that we all felt pretty convicted that, if we needed a quarterback, he'd be the guy that we would turn to. So we're always looking to, improve all positions. But with where it was, that's where we thought would be the best. And that was just kind of the decision.
Any more?
Right, and maybe you answered this when you answered Joe's question, but I just wanted to ask you again. Why would you not, look at signing Cam Newton?
I think I answered that pretty well, guys. I think I answered that. I'm not going to talk hypotheticals about other people, but look at everything. So,
when you're considering your short-term success versus the long-term plan you're building here, how do you weigh bringing a quarterback from the outside compared to having players in your building? What kind of challenges does that present?
It's a great question. My job is to try to win right now. Our fans aren't paying money to watch us try to win in 2 years. That being said, you're also trying to build a Super Bowl caliber team. So it's this balancing act of doing what's right long term while also trying to win at the same time. And many times those are the same thing. But so if we were stunting the growth of a guy that's going to be the guy that takes us to a Super Bowl at any position, I wouldn't do it for a short-term fix. That being said, if a guy can come in and help us compete, there's I think there's 4 teams in the NFL that have 6 wins or more in the NFC. Everyone else is about like us. So lots of teams right now in the NFL are trying to figure out how to get past 500 and have a good year and win in the second half of the year. And so part of that's injuries, so my job is to try to win. I owe it to those guys in the locker room to try to win. And so all that being said, I'm just not going to do it at the expense of some hey, trade all our future draft picks for someone that makes everyone feel good. That's not really in play here. Right now, our quarterback went down. We're trying to put the best possible product on the field to go win. We think we have a team that can win. So I just look at it kind of in both instances, right? So sometimes it's, hey, we can get to C.J. Henderson. I think he's going to be a great player. Hey, we have a chance to go get Stephon Gilmore. He can help us win right now. Neither one stunts the other, as long as we're not stunting one for the other. And I think that's where just discipline comes in. That's why the best teams make the hardest decisions, and that's the hardest part about this job. But, I always look at growth. And so like I said, I've referenced that about the defense a couple of times. Like, we got here, we were 21st in defense. Last year was 18th. Now we're second. We haven't quite done that on offense. It was 21st year before I got here. I think it was like 21st last year or 22nd. Now we're 27th. So we've kind of gone a little bit like this on offense, but it's not like we've gone down 30 spots. And so no one was happy with the way we played on offense last week. I mean, fans weren't happy at the game. Players on the sideline weren't happy. I wasn't happy. But there's tremendous signs of growth in a lot of areas, so we just have to amplify a little bit more on offense. So anybody that can help us win, we're going to bring in. It's just I'm not going to bench Jeremy Chin for someone that I think can maybe help us for 2 games. I'm going to do what it takes long term to build a Super Bowl champion team, and that's Mr. Tepper hired me. He told me 2 things. He said, I want back-to-back winning seasons, I want consistency, and I want to bring a Super Bowl here. So none of that's easy. none of that happens overnight, but it doesn't mean we're not trying to make it happen overnight. That doesn't mean we're not trying to win this game this week. And so, we have 8 games left. I expect us to go compete in every single game, try to win every single game, and whichever players can help us do that, we're going to do it with.
There are those
You mentioned this,
who,
DJ. Did you ever have a situation
Hold on. We're gonna do you, or we're gonna do Vashti, then we're gonna do.
that belief in PJ, was it automatic with you at Temple, or were the times you doubted him, and kind of go back to some moments that kind of stood out?
Yeah, and I just want to make sure I said my belief in PJ here as an NFL player has nothing to do with my time at Temple. When we signed PJ, there was about 5 other teams trying to get PJ to sign out of the XFL, and he just came here because A, his fiance is a school teacher here in Charlotte. That's a big part of it. And B, because I think he knew us and knew that, he would get an opportunity to compete. So that being said, I think P.J. Walker's won at every level that he's been at. He won in high school, won a state championship, won a championship with me in college, won in the XFL, and he's here now. And I'd ask the other players what they think, So he's a backup quarterback going to start against the number 4 ranked defense in the National Football League. That's a tall tale. But I can tell you, he's not gonna not go attack it. There's nothing that's going to be scared from P.J. Walker. I mean, he's going to go out there and he's going to compete to fight at a high level. And I think players rally around that. So, I knew him when he was 18 years old, 17 years old. He's come a long way since then. But I just, I think it's important for P.J.'s sake, not for mine, for P.J.'s sake. There is no agenda there. There's no we won together. I've had to cut some players that I coached in college. Every time I bring a player here that I coached in college, I know someday I'm going to have to walk away from them. None of that is easy, so I don't do that lightly. But I watched Quincy Roche get the sack fumble to win the game for the Giants the other day. I saw, I hug a player pretty much every week from the other team that played for me. So we had a lot of good players. I only say that for PJ's sake, because PJ, I think, it's a tall task, but I think PJ will go out there and play really hard.
there's those who question the timing of Darnold's injury, given the fact that he struggled and that there were questions about whether he should be the starter going forward. What do you say about those who have questions about the timing of this decision or the injury?
I don't even know. I'm sorry, say that one more time. What do you mean in terms of question if he's actually injured?
There have been questions about the timing of this injury.
I would be disrespectful to me to even answer that. That kid's hurt. He's banged up. I don't think we would lie to you guys and say someone broke something if they did. So I hope I've stood up here every week and answered every question. I think I've never misled anyone. So if people question that, then there's nothing I can do for that. So I would never do that to a player. Thanks, guys.